If I take the video down completely, that means angry people can win. But if I put it back up, they're going to be angry and probably try to destroy my life behind the scenes once again. But I don't care about your dick measuring contest. I care about utilizing my time as best that I can so I can race in the future. KW makes the perfect suspension for every demand. Find them in the description below. What's up, people? Well, about a week and a half ago or so, I did a video entitled Raw Truth on Indy Pro 2000 and Casey's chances. And in parentheses it said, warning, edge level 1000, do not watch. And the thumbnail was me driving my Viper with an RBF, or resting bitch face, and it said my weakness on the thumbnail. Now, that video was a difficult one for me to do. And for a number of reasons, on an interpersonal emotional level as a sportsman, because I was being very truthful and doing something big. Also, that video, I was, shall we say, angling or orienting or presenting to the general populace of automotive enthusiasts and racing enthusiasts. I wasn't aiming it at the racers on the inner circle. And what happened is, I told the truth entirely through it and used actual humor. And that made a lot of people very angry.
In the beginning, the universe was created. This made a lot of people very angry and has been widely regarded as a bad move.
So angry that there were many angry phone calls to my team, to my sponsors, to the series. There were talks of attorneys and saying, don't you know who his father is? It got the whole racing world talking, laughing, and yelling. And that is sad and scary. So anyway, I'm re-releasing the video and it's out now. I've made a couple of edits to it, just so that some angry people, hopefully, will leave me alone. And the funny thing is about doing this is, if I take the video down completely, that means angry people can win just by being angry because their egos got hurt. But if I put it back up, they're going to be angry and probably try to destroy my life behind the scenes once again, just because it makes them feel good. So, seems like a lose-lose scenario either way. But if you keep trying to destroy my life behind the scenes, there's also something called the Barbra Streisand effect. So how about we just go on with our lives and race? So what I'm going to do is, with this camera, I'm going to bring all the awesome positive things of my experiences with Road to Indy cars, racing, here at the shop, teaching students, all of the positive things. And all of the negative things, I'm just not going to showcase or talk about. So I think that's the best way to let people who may be feeling negative or being negative to you not get a voice. And for people or entities that are being positive to get a lot of good exposure. So I hope that the Road to Indy will be cool with me, and we can do a lot of positive things and bring a lot of positive fans to that in the future. Because I'm going to keep swinging. And I'd like to have a lot of fun. I'd like to bring a lot of people with me along the way. But anyway, with only a few changes, here is my original video of me putting my heart, wearing it on a sleeve, and telling the truth about my realistic chances and who I am and what I'm doing. Because it's honest. And I think the world needs to see it. The truth of the matter is, with a test like that, it's a dick measuring contest. What's Casey's weakness right now? He works for a living and he's not wealthy. Maybe the thing you should realize is, I wasn't yet trying to go fast, but I still qualified for the series, and with no practice. Think about it. What's up, people? Well, today we're going to go on an excursion. I am at my home. We're going in the office because I want to show you some other sports to answer a question about me in the Road to Indy. Now, I was actually thinking of referencing this video and directing it toward the haters. But you know, a funny thing I thought about in reference to that is, for someone to be a hater with regard to what this journey means, honestly means they're too stupid to actually even address in conversation. So we're not going to do that. But instead I wanted to talk about it. So obviously I love racing, been around cars a very, very long time. And I'm going to talk to you guys about practice, the other competitors, the nature of the sport and the series. But to do that today, we have to look at a couple of other sports. And one is golf. You may remember in one of the videos there at Indianapolis in the garages, I was talking to Simon, that's the USF 2000 driver, and we were talking about egos of competitors. And if there was no such thing as an ego, would anyone race? And we decided it would be no. And I told Simon that's the reason why I like to golf with hickory shafted clubs. And there was a great clip about that. Anyway, these are literally my golf clubs. Now, I realize that most of you, the only thing you're going to relate to these is the movie Happy Gilmore, because yes, in fact, in that movie, Happy Gilmore played with like his grandpa's clubs or whatever, which were from way, way back when and were made of wood. The shaft is actually made of wood in the 1920s. Now, I promise you, this is not going to be one of these boring history lesson videos. I'm going to say a bunch of stuff that'll make a lot of people mad, so keep watching. But it's true, which is what makes it fun. But anyway, yeah, I could very easily have modern graphite, shafted, titanium, unobtainium, BS clubs, and I could have some dumb polo shirt and a white belt and walk around like a chotch at a country club and think I'm cool. But that's lame. And I said in the video that the reason I played with these is because I think it's funny, because if you beat people with clubs like this, they lose their minds. Because they don't think you can. Because truthfully, playing with hickory shafted clubs in the 1920s, it's a disadvantage to playing with ones from today. And that's why I like it. So we're going to take these. Let's go hop in the Viper and go to the driving range. But I want to bring something else up because I think it relates. The thing about racing is, tiniest mistake will bite you. But that's why I like the longbow. That's why I like racing. That's why I like hickory shafted clubs. And that's why I like fencing. It's also why I like the sport of polo. Because with polo, you have to communicate with an animal, a horse, team sport. And polo is very dangerous. I don't like things that are easy. So, is Casey slow as f***, or is he strangely talented? Let's go to the driving range with old golf clubs and find out. I haven't driven in a while. Uh-oh. The alarm's going on. Oh, is it really going to be like this?
The Viper security reset tool. Oh, there it is. Oh, Dodge security alarm. If the car catches on fire, help me put it out. Yes!
It was at least nice to get the Viper out on a sunny day, even if the battery was low enough it tripped the alarm. So, you guys, I was already pretty intense when I was talking about those things, and I've been pretty intense the last few weeks, of course, doing this with regard to getting ready for the road to Indy. And the reason is simple. I was not born wealthy, nor am I wealthy. Racing is a wealthy person's sport. And the only people who get to do it are wealthy young people, wealthy sportsmen that don't have to work for a living, they don't have to go to school, and their parents are able to shell out $500,000 for them to go have a good old time and maybe be a famous race car driver someday. Yeah, I didn't get that, and nor did all of you. So it's kind of been not only intense in terms of a sportsman, i.e. an athlete, a driver, but intense in terms of the emotions of life. So as I told you, I'm 40 years old. I am double the median age of every young, privileged driver in the series. Now, I have nothing against them whatsoever. This is the United States of America, and you have to applaud people for being able to make their way in the world and be able to utilize their means to do whatever they see fit. But that doesn't mean it isn't really frustrating. And that doesn't mean that for many people, maybe millions of people, it's sad to see the sport they love monopolized by people of only a certain class. So I'm not going to apologize for the way I feel, but I just wanted to explain it. Now, the other thing that's kind of frankly getting me in the feels here today, guys, I grew up in the golf industry. My father was a PGA pro, and our family business was a small, not special public golf course in rural Ohio. Didn't have any sand traps. It was difficult to work on, and my father was gone from 5:30 in the morning until, I don't know, 10:30 at night every day of the week. We didn't go on vacations, and about the only thing we got to do family-wise that remotely related to anything like that is car stuff. So welcome to Psychological Profile Day of Casey. Now, the thing of it is, I did learn a lot from my time there, and with your dad being a professional athlete and growing up in the public eye as a kid around said sport, you learn a lot about sport. And I learned a lot that frankly translates to racing. And I want to showcase that for you today. Now, obviously, here's my old-timey golf clubs that I golf with, probably because I've got lots of interpersonal issues, and golf hits me in the feels, which you can probably guess. Now, I'm going to pick out 5 golf balls here. These 5 golf balls, I want to represent to you all the driving that I have done with open-wheel cars. My dream has always been to race Indy cars. The thing about that is, nowadays I race maybe once a year in a car, a dissimilar car to this, 3,000-pound Corvette. I don't know, maybe it's 2,700 pounds, whatever. It's got 700 horsepower. There's no aero, makes a heck of a lot of power. You can get yourself in trouble, but it's vastly different from what an Indy Pro 2000 is. So it's not really great practice. If you race that once a year, regardless of the race, you maybe get, I don't know, 40 laps in a year. Let's say maybe I get 20 or 30 in testing. So a year, Casey Putsch gets to do, I don't know, somewhere between 50 and 70 laps a year in a race car. And at that one test, I did 80 some. So if you take these other competitors and you look at the fact that they just ran an entire season in those cars, they got to run over 1,000 laps in the course of a year. And many of them had been racing for the last 7 or 8 years of their life, which means these other young athletes have gotten to do 10,000 laps. So I haven't driven a car like that in 10 years. Before I went to the Griffis test, by the way, I want to point something out. I did, in fact, qualify to be in the series. I have the license, I have the medical, and I'm within the 105% rule, which hopefully this doesn't annoy them enough and they change it or do something, some social political thing. But 105%, which means my very first time in the car, being very nice to the car because I don't want to hurt it, because that hurts this. Your wallet. Me. I work for a living. I do these videos and work on cars and mentor kids. I've been doing that for the last 8-10 years. So before I went to the Griffis test, I got a little practice in at a track I had never been to, which isn't really that well suited for that kind of car. And I got to do 3 to 5 clean laps. Consider this golf ball to be a lap. Before I went out to a professional series, the Road to Indy, to compete against kids half my age, I got 3 to 5 laps in, 3 to 5 golf balls. Do you understand that is the equivalent of a person who can't afford to join a country club or go golfing, that once a year gets to go to a ratty golf course and play 9 holes of golf and builds golf clubs for a living and restores old ones, just went out and with 3 to 5 golf balls on a practice range qualified for the PGA Tour. That's the equivalent of what's happening here. And that makes me edgy. So, I want to talk about it, and I brought out my old-timey golf clubs. I want to hit some balls. I haven't done that in a long time. Frankly, is a weird feeling of emotions. So I guess you guys, that's kind of it. You can ask yourself the question. I know there's a couple of trolls saying, oh, you're 3 seconds off the pace, you suck, you'll never do it. I mean, that's cool. But maybe the thing you should realize is twofold. One, I was out there building a base of experience, a formula to be fast. Winning at racing is a formula. It's not magic. It's not done by supernatural beings. It's something you build. And that day I was building upon something at the Griffis test, both those days. I was working with Alex Barron. I was learning the car. I was learning the aero envelope, the stick, the nature of the gearbox, the chatter, how much speed can I roll in. Those were the things that I was learning. Same like you do with a golf swing. You see, when I was a kid on the driving range, I wanted, like everybody else, to hit the driver as far as I could. Everybody, when they go to the driving range, wants to see you hit 300-yard long drives. But the thing about that is, you guys, just because you can put a ball over 300 yards down the middle of a fairway doesn't mean you can put it in the hole. So it's the same thing. So when I was at the Griffis test in the race car, I was working on my swing, metaphorically speaking. And I was working on all of my clubs, short game, long game, tempo, mechanics. Maybe the thing you should realize is I wasn't yet trying to go fast, but I still qualified for the series, and with no practice. Think about it. Now I realize that on the road to Indy, I'm at a massive disadvantage. It's not age and it's not my experience level. It's my financial horsepower. The only reason I'm there is because of this. Because people are watching. Because I've been able to turn the tables on the model. And now suddenly there's an ROI for sponsors to put it in. Now suddenly there's a story that the public actually wants to follow, instead of just watching a bunch of rich kids run around in circles that you can't much relate to. No offense, guys. So, what's Casey's weakness right now? He works for a living and he's not wealthy. So the other thing is, at the Griffis test, I could not afford to hurt the car. And I was driving it like that. Now, I think on the first or second day, a person came up to the team manager and said, "Can I speak to your driver?" And I didn't know who this guy was. So Mike comes up to me and says, "Hey, so-and-so wants to talk to you and give you some advice." And I'm like, let me hit this ball. God, I haven't hit any balls in like 6 years. Oh, I bladed it, dude. Huh, check this out. There's a couple of bald eagles flying over. Do you see the birdies? A symbol of our freedom that is fleeting because of social media. So this guy comes up to me and wants to give me a piece of advice. So he says to me, he's like, "You should be less conservative." And you know what? I agree with him. I should be less conservative. But I have the intelligence to know it's not time yet. You see, at the Griffis test, it's not a race, it's not a qualification, it's literally nothing. It's the opportunity for me to go out and finally experience the car and the series and the team. That's it. Get the practice with it and not be embarrassing. The truth of the matter is, with a test like that, it's a dick measuring contest. Everybody just wants to show that they're the fastest person out there, and that's it. And it's rampant with teams and drivers and, I'm sure, monetary backers, whomever they may be. But I don't care about your dick measuring contest. I care about utilizing my time as best that I can so I can race in the future. Now, the other interesting thing relating to this, and I think I would hit some golf balls, try to figure out some frustrations and kind of vibe with the world, Casey. So, the other interesting thing about racing that no one will tell you, by the way, this entire video, no race car driver on the planet would ever make a video like this. They wouldn't. There's no honest race car drivers. There aren't any. They're in a theater. And I don't care about that. I'd rather just be honest. We're gonna go somewhere, we're gonna be successful, or we're not. So something hit me in the fields while I was there, and it was, so I was going down the back straightaway, and I had a good roll, but there was a car coming up behind me in a subtle draft, and they just barely had any speed. So toward the end of the straightaway, got up beside me like this. Now I'm already on the far left side up by the wall for turn 1, the right-hander inside, and they're right there, and that's cool. And I'm just gonna go into the braking zone. I'm gonna hit my braking point, and I figure he's gonna hit his braking point and turn in, go into turn 1. Except a little thing happened. That young driver decided he thought it would be cool to try to intimidate me by, instead of the fact that we're side by side and I'm right next to the wall, turning in like this, he decided to come into me first toward the braking zone and then turn in, which is not what you normally do. So when I realized this was happening, I used up the last 1.5 feet I could and brought it right up to the wall. And the only remote conscious thought was, I'm gonna move over here and I hope this idiot doesn't hit me. But he didn't. It was an intimidation move from a kid who's probably 19 years old. And maybe he's doing his little dick measuring contest thinking that that will intimidate me because I'm the new guy around. And what this young man doesn't know is I've not been afraid to piss off billionaires. These cars don't scare me, and neither do you. So, but he did exploit a weakness, which I'm going to say in honesty. Again, I'm not wealthy. I have to protect the car. It's kind of a drag because these kids don't have to. So I don't know what the future will hold, you guys. But I do know that I'm taking a swing. Because you have to. Did you really think I was going to give up? No. But I'm there. So that's cool. I just hope that I get the opportunity to actually practice and race. And it would be really nice to race in a manner where I don't have to just think about the car and how expensive it is if you hurt it. I don't know if I'm going to get to do that. And I'll be frank, without the opportunity to practice, and without the opportunity to have the means to not be concerned about the car and just race, that's a drastic disadvantage that frankly really is not reasonable to overcome. But I am there. I don't know if I got the point of the video across I want. I guess it was just to say, do I suck or am I oddly good? Yeah, I am oddly good because nobody else is qualifying with 0 practice at this age. Has the testicular fortitude to stick around. But at the other hand, I am slow. And I know that. But that's okay because I know how to go faster. And I don't intend to stay there. It was the building blocks of practice. So, I guess that's it. I guess this is going to be the video. I thought this was going to be a way cooler video and I'd have some cool camera angles and stuff like that, but I really just don't even want to. I think I need this day just to hit some balls by myself. We'll keep going. Hopefully some companies out there figure out that as a sportsman or an athlete in the series of open wheel in America, I have a multitude more times exposure than any other driver out there, and that they would get a much higher ROI from sponsoring me and my journey. So I'm kind of hoping for that. But the other thing that's a problem about not being wealthy is I didn't come from the pre-positioning to have all the contacts to be able to do that. So that's an uphill battle. So we'll see. But I've never been one to play the victim, and I've never been one to stay down. Angela Savage actually gave me a great compliment. She called me a whack-a-mole, which means you always get hit and you just pop right back up. You guys should hit that bell, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Well, there's only one racing suit I've always dreamed of owning, and that's a Hinchman. Since 1925, Hinchman Racing Uniforms has been supplying suits to drivers ranging from Dale Earnhardt, Mario Andretti, and even Steve McQueen in the movie Le Mans. So guys, when it's time to go racing and you guys want to be safe and look amazing, let's go classic American. Get yourself a Hinchman.